Welcome to the What You Gonna Want to Do podcast. I'm Kevin.
I'm Tox A Review.
I'm Caleb. Tox A Review.
Wow.
Huh? Okay.
Is this like your username or something?
Yeah. It's really just backwards. It's really not that great. I'll do better next time.
Oh,
I get
it is backwards.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Even the last part.
I tried, but I don't know if that's really how you would pronounce it, but I couldn't really pronounce it the way Weaver.
I think
I think it's pretty
close.
Review or something. Anyways, that's pretty lame, but that's what I had. I'll come up with something better.
I don't mind it.
Well, it's been a little while since we've been together.
Yeah.
But, we're excited
Together again.
We're together again.
Yeah.
Excited to be back. Scott's been touring the world.
Touring the world.
Yeah.
He went to Washington and got all of the JFK files. And,
You read through them.
yeah, before they would release them.
Yeah, he's formed some opinions, and
He's got some strong
they're
opinions.
very controversial.
Yeah.
And it's not even based on what he read.
No.
That's the scary part. That's the part that worries me the most.
And I don't see how he made the jump to John Wilkes Booth being responsible
Yeah,
for this one
he
as
pinned
well.
it on Booth.
Oh,
But
wow.
he did.
That's even news to me.
Well, this week our topic is going to be a couple TV series that we all are fans of or have watched anyway. The Chosen and The House of David.
You forgot what the other one was for a minute.
Briefly,
second.
I briefly forgot what it was.
I can hear it.
But yeah,
It's no surprise to me.
The Chosen's been around for a few years now.
Yeah.
Maybe started
Trying to
before
put a year
COVID.
on it?
I'm trying to.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't feel comfortable putting a year on it.
Yeah,
I don't think you should either.
I won't do it. But it was really interesting because it started out being funded by.
What still is?
It still is.
Pretty sure it's still
I thought.
crowdfunded,
Oh,
Wow.
okay.
as far as I know.
I
I'm
thought
not-
maybe since it's on Amazon, I thought maybe they were
they might
funding
have.
I
now.
think they just picked it up. Maybe they are. I don't know.
But anyway, it's still. It hasn't changed anything
No,
the way
hasn't.
they're doing it. And
No.
I know there are people that have problems with it,
It's not without controversy.
Yeah.
But what isn't?
right? Personally,
Who among us?
though, I don't. I realize that, as you watch it, you're going to see things that took place that are not in the Bible.
Yeah.
And, they're filling in gaps with the stories on people.
Yeah.
But I don't think they're taking away
Right.
from the biblical message.
Right.
And
And I
there's
don't think any of it's much of a stretch.
no, I don't either.
I mean, if you've ever watched the Ten Commandments movie
Yeah.
Yeah.
with Charlton Heston, which is one of my favorite movies
Absolutely.
ever,
It's great.
they take liberties.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And I think anytime you're bringing something and putting it on film, you have to some extent.
Mm-hmm.
You can't just, because the Bible's not written like a novel.
No.
It's just giving you the facts of what you need to know,
Yeah.
what's important. But the way that this show brings it to life, for me, it's amazing. There's hardly an episode goes by that I'm not in tears at some point.
Right.
It's so moving. And
Yeah.
for me, some of the scenes with Mary Magdalene are some of the most powerful. Like, the very beginning when, he comes to her and she's, obviously in a horrible state, demon
Yeah.
possessed.
Oh,
and
gosh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, he calls her. It's just phenomenal.
Yeah.
And then,
That was
later on, there's a scene that it's nowhere in the Bible, but she, kind of falls away and she goes back into her old
Yes.
life,
Yeah.
and he sends a couple of the disciples to get her, and they bring her back, and just that scene where he's forgiving her is just
that's a great.
Yeah.
I think it's outstanding.
Yeah.
I know it's not biblical.
Well, it is biblical, but it's not
In the Bible.
In the
per se.
Bible,
Yeah.
But it's a beautiful way to show the forgiveness of our God,
Yeah.
Right.
the God,
Yeah.
that we're not going to be perfect, and it's just so important that's in that movie, that series. I love that. I have to agree. I love that. The scenes with Mary Magdalene,
For sure.
I'm like Kevin. It's rarely does an episode go by where I don't cry or get some kind of misty eyes or something.
Yeah.
And I guess now would be a good time to say there might be some spoilers.
Probably. If you,
I guess that would be.
yeah. If you haven't, if you haven't watched this, series or either of them, we're probably going to say some
I
stuff.
guess now it's time.
We're probably going to say some stuff that's,
Yeah, if you haven't watched it, maybe don't listen to this.
Maybe watch it first.
Maybe Dad already ruined maybe the whole first season. But just the first one.
Yeah.
They've had more.
Oh yeah, they've had plenty.
But
Just the first one.
But if you've read the Bible, I mean, you know where the story is going to go,
But not the things
not
you
the
said.
added things.
Yeah,
right?
we just kind of.
But the overall story.
Yeah.
I like how the disciples will, butt heads, and it does speak of that. It talks about them arguing at
Just
different
doesn't tell
times.
us what it is.
Yeah.
Necessarily. Well,
Right. Sometimes it's
But not
specific
always.
with the.
Who will be at your right hand?
Yeah, who would be greatest. And you see sense of humor that Jesus is portrayed as having, and I believe 100% that God has a sense of humor.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Without a doubt.
I think we've even talked about that before.
Yeah.
I just like the way it depicts Jesus. I think so much of depiction of Christ in film is very stoic. And
right. Either that or he's so
Caleb, I agree.
almost like a hippie kind of
it's always very whitewashed too.
Yeah.
Doesn't he a lot of times he doesn't show the strength, he's not manly in other depictions of Jesus.
Yeah, I guess I just don't know what you're watching.
There's been so many TV shows and stuff where they've showed the life of Christ, and it just he's never
I just think it does a good job of showing his human side. Where I don't think we've really seen that a lot before.
I agree. It's
totally
very more personable.
Right.
A God, a man, and being that man to others, and a God at the same time.
Yeah.
And like you said, a lot of other ones, they're either stoic or seem to be a little distant to the flock.
Yeah.
Right.
I think this one does I think it's amazing.
Yeah.
And you see him interacting with his disciples so much, and it's just amazing. I think I love it, and I think that watching it, having read the Bible most of my life, it even gives you a greater appreciation for Christ, and makes you even love him more, seeing him portrayed in this way. Because I think that they do a great job of being true to the character of Christ through this.
And I think they're very intentional about that.
I do too. And I know that they have, it almost sounds like a joke, but they have like a priest, a minister, and like a
rabbi, messianic rabbi.
Rabbi.
Yeah. And they walk into a bar and they sit down and then they discuss biblical topics to make sure the show is not being heretical.
Heretical.
And for the most most part, from what I understand, they agree on things. There's been a few things here and there. Where
Yeah, they don't disagree on anything that's...
Yeah. Well, one of the things that I think that the rabbi had disagreements with was when, spoiler alert, Peter was out fishing on Shabbat. And he just says that there's no way he never would have done that. But, you know, it's still...
He conceded because they knew they were using it for the narrative.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
Gotcha.
I just think they do a really good job in general with both of those shows. I'm not that far into the House of David, but I've seen a few episodes, and just the production value, the acting, and the writing is so much better than any modern depiction of a Christian film based on the Bible that I've seen.
Very much.
I mean, don't get me wrong. Mel Gibson's The Passion was a really good movie.
Yeah, it's very good.
But completely different in tone, obviously.
Yeah.
But apart from that, I mean, there's been so many other recent depictions, and they've all kind of just been...
Yeah, like I said, production values not anywhere near what this is. This is like almost like an epic every episode.
Yeah. They had the Bible miniseries, and it was really just okay. Yeah. They had the guy who played Noah was Scottish.
Oh, he was.
It was so weird. And he
was so weird.
God told me to build a boat. And I was like, that really took me out. It took me out. Because I never thought of him having a brogue before. God told me to build a boat. And I was like, okay, Noah.
Build a boat.
Yeah. It's
great.
I built the boat, God. Now what do you want me to do? When's the rain a-coming? But that one took me out of it completely.
I can see that. Yeah,
that was odd. Very odd.
And then I don't know if you saw the I don't know, why is it always Noah? But Noah movie with Russell Crowe.
Oh yeah,
I think you saw it, didn't you? Did you see it?
I saw some of it and I turned it off. He had like these rock men that helped him build
that's what I heard.
The ark.
Yeah. I already heard something about that.
I think
that was Yeah,
and I think the B-52s had a song on there, and they said there was about the building of the ark, and it said it wasn't Noah, it was a rock monster.
I didn't see that coming.
No,
that's good though. I liked it. Even then, Fred Schneider, I would have known.
Yeah,
even then,
well, they did see that coming.
They had they got a lot of pushback because it was pretty heretical. Don't know why they took on the Noah stuff. I think it was weird for them. Really out of character. They almost never touched religion.
Oh no!
But that one song,
they really went for it.
Yeah, I don't know why they really wanted to push that narrative.
Yeah, they seem to stay away from some of those kinds of subjects.
Yeah,
just do their kind of fun type, quirky.
Yeah. But that time they're like, we need to take a strong stance. We know who built the ark. It wasn't Noah. It was a rock monster. Rock monster.
That's beautiful. That is dead on, Fred Schneider.
No, but I turned it off after the rock monsters came out, because I think I'd heard that there were rock monsters in it, and I was like, this seems weird.
That's what I did too.
And so I
heard.
Then I was like, I can't.
Yeah, I heard that, and I never.
It's very what do they call that?
Stupid.
Agnostic. It was an agnostic kind of.
Yeah.
Because I think Ridley was at least then was of that persuasion.
Yeah, and wasn't there another a more modern version of the Moses?
I think so.
I never even watched it because
Oh yeah, there was one. I didn't watch it either.
What's going to be better than Charlton Heston?
Yeah.
Chuck's Moses for you, and he always will be.
Yeah.
Well, moms will say that.
Yeah.
There's nobody else. But
hard to top. I mean,
no, I did like the animated version.
Yeah.
Oh. Yeah, I used to make my girls watch that every night when they went to bed. That and they did one with Joseph too.
Oh, cool.
Both very good, I think.
Yeah. And I hope that with these and the success that they're having, that they'll just do more and more.
Yeah.
Well, I know that
I'd love it.
I know that Dallas Jenkins has a lot of plans with doing more stuff.
Nice.
He's supposed to be doing an animated kids series.
Really?
With
cool.
Jesus. It's got all the same voice actors from The Chosen.
Nice.
Nice.
One of my daughters just was messaging me today. I said, "Dad, when's that coming out?" And I thought,
cool.
So we've talked about it,
awesome.
and they've seen a couple episodes of The Chosen. They haven't seen all of them, but they've seen a couple episodes, and they like it. I mean, they like it.
I love it.
Yeah.
Great. Yeah. The episode 6, I think, because there's 8 of the House of David. Episode 6 starts out as just, I mean, it's like, don't get this wrong. I'm not comparing this in any genuine way, other than the epic sweep of the opening, but it has almost like the Lord of the Rings. I mean, it is just
Really
unbelievable. I was like, you're kidding me.
I don't know what
Angels fall
Oh wow.
and mate with the human and has Goliath and the other giants. You know.
Yeah. How
That was
far are you in?
Amazing.
Like 3.
3. Yeah.
You'll
we're
get this.
3 in.
It's really a neat sequence, guys.
The king of Gath had gone to Goliath's mother, I assume. So we saw that one.
They do I think an outstanding job of Goliath.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love
Isn't that something?
I love what they're doing. It's
Great.
It's still in the same vein as the Chosen, but it's so completely different too.
Right.
Yeah, it is. Yeah,
Because
I agree.
they're not pulling any punches. They're showing you. Stuff in the Old Testament.
I mean, if you read the Old Testament,
and hard.
it's violent. I mean, there's gore.
I mean, I'm sure we're getting ready to see some violence in the Chosen too, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Because we have to, because it's part of the story.
Right.
But what I've seen so far in the House of David, I'm excited about.
I
Guy
really
has
love.
an amazing voice, doesn't he?
Yeah, he does.
That's his actual voice.
That's
I guess.
his voice?
I looked it up.
That's
That
not
guy's
somebody
an actual
singing?
singer.
Really.
Whoa,
Wow.
Amazing.
That's awesome.
Amazing.
I love the Samuel.
Samuel, isn't he?
He's a bad dude,
He's
man.
awesome.
Yeah.
Bad dude.
That actor is great.
Yeah.
It is great.
I mean, like Kevin, you guys. I mean, there's no fooling around anymore. There's no cringiness in
it's
the
not
acting
hokey.
or the
Right.
production.
He delivered some lines that were actual scripture, and usually when that happens, it just feels so hokey.
Right.
Yeah.
But when he was delivering it was like, oh dang,
Yeah.
that's probably the way he said it.
Yeah.
You saw the scene with the 3 where he visits the king again.
Yeah.
We saw. I think I've seen it when he went the first time. When he told him that his kingdom was being torn from him. I don't think I've seen it.
But remember when that part where he's like, "What is this bleeding I hear in my ears?" That's scripture.
That's scripture. And when his robe was torn, and he told him that the kingdom's been torn away from him. That's scripture too. And it's just.
And I told Dad when we watched it, I said, "This is exactly what I assume." Not only Samuel, but just like all the prophets in the Old Testament were like. They seem to me like they had to be a bit off. Like they had to, at least to everybody else, they had to appear a bit off because they were unfortunately how we should be, but we just aren't capable because we don't have we are capable, but we don't have their amount of faith because they're just so their focus is nothing but God.
Right.
That's amazing.
So they don't care, unlike us, unfortunately, they don't care about, I'm going to seem like a lunatic if I do this.
No.
They just do it.
Tells them.
So of course they're not going to seem right to your average human.
Yeah.
I mean, and the same holds for John the Baptist in The Chosen.
Yeah, he seems like a strange dude.
Yeah.
He calls him creepy.
Yeah.
Yeah. He calls him creepy John.
And I mean, if you think about it, John the Baptist is the last Old Testament prophet.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Because the New Testament, the New Covenant had not come into effect yet.
And he's supposed to be just like another Old Testament prophet, Elijah, which makes me think they're all crazy looking. they all seemed like they were a bit off, I'm sure. If you would have met one, you'd been like, this guy is a little crazy.
Well, I like you said, Caleb, when you see Samuel, when he's portrayed by that actor, I love that he means business. I mean, when you hear him talk, or the conviction behind the words, and his stature, the way he plays them,
he's very much like, what did God say? This is what you were supposed to do.
You see him in the beginning where he's praying and weeping over Saul, and it says that in the scriptures that's what he did. He was heartbroken because of what Saul had done, and God was taking the kingdom away from him. Even though if you go way back in Samuel's story, you see that he was hurt and upset when the Israelites wanted a king.
Wanted a king.
Yeah, because up until that point, the judges had ruled, and it was a true theocracy where they were just listening to God, and what God told them, then they would hand down to the people. But it hurt him that people had turned away and wanted a king like everyone else did. But and I think that the guy who plays Saul does an amazing job, because that's how the scripture tells us he would have these fits. And become violent. And I mean, we know that there's the one scene where he throws the spear through the servant. We know he threw spears at David. Didn't he throw the spear at Jonathan at one point? But become very violent. I think they're doing a great job with that. I know some people were upset with the backstory on David, with his
being illegitimate.
Illegitimate. But Caleb looked it up, or did it?
I think we both looked it up.
And other, outside of scripture, the Jewish people have what's the word? Jewish tradition
says that they say that he was illegitimate.
So I'm sure that they looked into that, and that's why they're doing it the way they are. And I think that kind of helps understand if that is the case. I mean, we don't know, but if that is the case, that would help understand why when Samuel comes, when he's looking for the next king, David's not there. He brings his sons, and Samuel goes through all of them, and it's like, do you have any other sons? And David was out with the sheep, so obvious, the father didn't think enough to bring him there as well. He's just the youngest one. He takes care of the sheep, and but we see what he becomes. So it's really cool.
You guys will have to tell me what you think of that opening sequence. I think of the 6th episode. It's awesome.
And I'll tell you what, this is a lot, because this is on Amazon Prime, right? This is a lot better than the other series Amazon Prime's putting out based on Christian literature. The Rings of Power, not very good.
What is it?
The Rings of Power, not very good. That's all I'm saying.
No, it's not what it should.
This is sticking way closer to the source material. No matter what you think.
Should have been much better. Disappointed. Hopefully somebody will yet do it. Maybe
One of these
do it
days,
right.
maybe.
One of these days,
We're not saying you have to watch these shows, but I think you should give it a try.
Yeah. Good point.
One thing that I really like that I've heard is that it's causing people to dig more into the scriptures.
Yeah.
They'll watch this. I just saw an interview with Dallas Jenkins where he was talking, and the people who have the Bible app, they meet like every day or at least once a week or something and discuss what's going on. And they were having a meeting, and they're like, I don't know, something's going on. I don't know if it's a glitch, but we're getting all kinds of searches for Nathaniel. And it turns out it was right after they had released the episode where they introduced Nathaniel. Because they said up until then, we don't know a lot about Nathaniel in the Bible. There's not a whole lot there. But the fact that, once he's introduced, people are like, so it shows that,
and it's funny because I
to
feel like I remember when that episode came out, looking up Nathaniel in the YouVersion Bible app.
I think I did too.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome.
It's really cool.
Because when things pop up on these shows, and I'm like, is that Hollywood? Or is that scripture?
Yeah.
Most of the time, I would say 9 times out of 10,
it's
scripture.
Yeah. Well, I saw an interview with Dallas Jenkins, and I'm sorry I don't remember the gentleman's name who is producing House of David. But
there's somehow.
Yeah. But they were both, in the same interview, and Dallas was talking about the very first episode, and when Samuel kills the king, Amalekite, was it? I can't remember for sure, but the king that was supposed to have been slain when they were supposed to, killed, everyone.
Yeah.
But, and Saul took him, captive.
Yeah.
And so Samuel kills him himself, and Dallas Jenkins was watching it with his wife, and he's like, wow, they had Samuel do that? And his wife's like, yeah, that's what it says in the Bible. And Dallas said, you'll have to forgive me, I've been really heavily into the New Testament for the last 5 years.
It actually says he hacked him into pieces.
Yeah.
Wow.
Pretty graphic.
I mean, and he went for it in that scene.
Yeah.
So, if you have small children, you may want to view it before you let them see it.
Yeah.
I know the guy who produces House of David, his children are maybe like 8, 9, 10, something like that, but he allows them to watch it with them.
Yeah.
But yeah. So, but it's each his own on that. What you think your
if your
children can handle.
Yeah.
But like I said, if you read the Old Testament, there is a lot of violence.
It gets gruesome.
Very much so. I mean, and even the New Testament, once you get at the end of the Gospels and then into Acts, there's a lot of
a lot
of violence.
Yeah, absolutely. But good shows, and I think worth to watch.
Yeah,
give them a shot. So. See how they hold up to Scripture.
Yeah,
and then you can judge from there. But I wouldn't judge one way or the other until you've done it.
Right.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah.
Well, it's a good talk. We've got some more March Madness music coming up later on.
That's pretty exciting.
Yeah.
And some apologetic adjacency coming up.
Yep. Going to be taking it into the 60s.
All right.
Peace, man.
We'll see you after this. Here we are.
And this week, we're moving on with some more apologetics-esque from Scott.
Apologetics-esque.
Jason, sort of.
Yeah. And this kind of ties in, right, with the Enlightenment that you talked about last time. Sorry.
Yeah.
And so we're going to let Scott just jump into it.
Okay.
Lead us where you may.
Okay. Well, like Kev was saying, I think our last podcast, we talked about the Age of Enlightenment, some of the things that were important to that period, rationalism, empiricism, science, individuality, representative government, those kinds of things. So it's very focused on autonomy. Mm-hmm. And that doesn't mean that religion or Christianity in that viewpoint was not affected by it, or not affected by it in a positive way. Because you could even argue, I don't want to be exact on this, but you could argue that apologetics is in some ways the reasonableness of a defense of your faith.
Definitely.
And in doing so, you're bringing up facts and, let's say, archaeological evidence. So, I mean, it's not all what we might say is liberal or anti-faith, but it was some of the first time that human beings were asking questions about their existence beyond the Bible.
Yeah.
And I think that leads into what I'm going to call like the contemporary times generation that represents that. Because I think when you think about the generations up through, and we're going to talk about the 60s here, and so we're talking about the boomers. And those were people that were born between 1946 and 1964. Up until then, the generations prior to that were, and maybe the 50s to some degree too, with the 60s, but arguably some of the same people that grew up in the 50s then entered into the 60s.
Right.
But the amount of a generation, the amount of people, and there were about 76 million born to the greatest generation, which were the generation that fought World War II. So you have things that are kind of aligning here that haven't been seen prior to that. And I think the key here is when you have that much youth growing up together and going into the different stages of their development into adulthood, into maturity, they have a big impact on the culture. So in that way, and their impacts are a lot of ways questioning the establishment, including faith, including, well, just about anything.
Yeah.
And that's where we're kind of drawing sort of a tie between the Age of Enlightenment and this decade or so of our timeline, where we would all exist. Our parents still, Generation Z, the millennials, all of us exist. And it's a big impact on what would reverberate through each generation since.
Right.
And so that's kind of the idea. Some things that are connected to that that help to make it. And we're looking at it from the framework of apologist. The apologist is the elements that would make it more anti-biblical, or following things that aren't obviously biblical, even tradition in some regards, traditional values that we've upheld up to this point. And there's a lot of reason for that. I mean, one of the big things is the Vietnam War. A lot of people protested against the war. They felt it was unnecessary, and so you had that going on. That spurns or is on the along with recreational drug use, communal living. These are all ideas that are being, talked about, discussed, and done. Right. It's not just all in theory.
Right.
Political protest, again, Vietnam War, women's rights, gay rights, sexual freedoms, ecology. The planet becomes much more important. And preserving the planet, or the perceptions are that we need to preserve the planet. We've already mentioned sexual freedom, but casual sex. So we're birth control. That's another thing that enters into, there was no really any drug birth control, related birth control. Obviously, the things expressed through the culture, like fashion, music. We've got a lot of folk music, protest music fed through folk, and then rock and roll becomes more socially conscious and is more topical. And a lot of that's by the generation themselves. So they're listening to themselves by these artists, talking to them about what they're going through.
Yeah.
We get the famous line from Timothy Leary, who was a big proponent of LSD and trying LSD to expand your consciousness. The turn on, tune in, and drop out, that was coined throughout that time. So, and then probably another thing just to add as far as what led to it, and this is just one thing, and we could be here a couple of weeks talking about a generation, really, but certainly the 60s, because there's so much going on. But there's some scholars, and I probably agree with them. 4 wars in 50 years. So you've had World War I, World War II, the Korean War, Vietnam.
Yeah.
All that, 3 of those wars lead up and through, at least the Korean War anyways.
Yeah.
And World War II to some degree affects the children that are born to the greatest generation.
Yeah.
And they see the vestiges of that, what the parents had to deal with. If the father was fighting, the mother was, supporting the war. They lived through the Korean War. And then, of course, Vietnam becomes a thing. So there's a lot of war, and that, that has to make a big impact on the culture, the psyche of people. It's also the first generation that had real prosperity.
Yeah. Because the 50s were booming.
There you go.
And so they were coming out of that. And
I certainly don't want to throw, like we don't do with anything, I don't want to throw a blanket on everybody, every family.
Right.
That's not what's happening to everyone, but the majority. There was prosperity in the 50s. The fathers and mothers that were involved in the World War II, or they're giving their children what they didn't have.
Yeah.
And so these children are growing up. We got the advent of television that enters people's personal lives.
Yeah. There's probably also the first generation who a lot of the mothers worked as well, since a lot of the ladies had gone into the workforce during World War II. Some of them didn't want to go back. They wanted to work still. Not all of them, obviously, but a certain amount anyway.
Yeah.
Was doing that as well.
I'll probably just end it, at least with my spiel anyways, with probably a little bit more on how these things start, if we can ascertain any specific thing. It's kind of tough to do, I know. They because of the wars, because of the prosperity that they had, because of educational reforms, because of civil things going on, like segregation in the South, the boomers were kind of looking at their lives and even the culture and the establishments and questioning it. So everything was pretty much game for them. You know, the dabbling of Americans in spiritualism in the mid-19th century, that comes back again. We've now got more of an embrace of mysticism and occultism now. In the 60s, this back to nature, flower power, it's all about that. And again, just like everything else that we've talked about, the Age of Enlightenment as well, there's obviously perspectives and arguments against the Bible and what it says, and you're starting to hear the first utterances of gay rights and casual sex. These were not hallmarks and part of the value system of the culture before that. Yeah. So these are all huge things. And but one I thought one eye-opening thing that I didn't know, I mentioned to you at dinner, was that the baby boomers, when they grew up, we'll say, and they started having families, so you're hitting towards the 80s, a lot of them start slowly moving towards conservative values.
Yeah.
And so now the generation stands probably about 50-50 or even 52-48 conservative. But what affects Christianity then is that these were the kids that were questioning everything during their formative years, their 20s, and there were so many of them. And they're going into different walks of life. They're going into art. They're revolutionizing, for better or for worse, sometimes both, how we're seeing the world, alternatives to seeing the world, alternatives to the establishment. Yeah. So there's the connection. There's where the liberal wave and this youth quake center. Another thing was interesting was I found out that the word teenager didn't come into the lexicon until the 40s.
Yeah.
And it was certainly used in the 50s. And you could see all the drive-in movies and things that they were doing for the kids. The old B movies, horror movies, monster movies, or biker gangs, that kind of stuff. The beginnings of beach movies, sort of almost the beginnings of what would become exploitation cinema. So there's a lot of where the marketers are now turning to the teenagers because they're the first now prosperous generation that are growing up and they've got money, their parents got money, and so stuff starts to be marketed to them and what they like and and that starts to snowball into how that stuff is more entered into the culture and accepted over time. Yeah. But that's kind of
yeah. When we discussed this was going to be the topic, and I was kind of thinking over it. Of course, I mean the 60s has such a big impact, on all of us even today, as you said, and so much of the stuff that like Kim and I will watch, documentaries and stuff. Manson family, all
oh boy, yeah, there's
things like that, and
just light stuff.
The assassinations. Another thing we didn't mention.
Yeah, with me and always being such a conspiracy person, and especially here lately with all the release of the documents and stuff, I've been diving deep into the Kennedy stuff. But
I started into that already.
Oh, no,
okay.
But I started thinking about all that. And something triggered the song "We Didn't Start the Fire" by Billy Joel, who himself was a boomer, born in 1949. And so I was, thinking about all the events that he talks about in that. I had AI write an article about it. I'm not going to read the whole article, but the part that he talks about that's the 60s, I thought was kind of interesting. It says the 60s, turbulence and triumph. The 60s bring upheaval and innovation. Chubby Checker, twist onto the scene with the dance craze, while Psycho, Hitchcock's thriller, terrifies audiences. Belgians in the Congo references the violent chaos in the Congo's 1960 independence, and Hemingway, Ernest, exits in 1961 via suicide. Eichmann, who was the Nazi war criminal, faces trial and execution. Stranger in a Strange Land was Robert A. Heinlein's sci-fi novel, which captivated readers. Dylan emerges as a folk poet. Berlin signals the 1961 Berlin Wall. Bay of Pigs invasion flops as U.S. attempts to oust Castro, and Lawrence of Arabia dazzles on screen. Then comes British Beatlemania, the 1963 U.S. invasion, Ole Miss, the University of Mississippi's 1962 integration battle, John Glenn orbiting the Earth, Lisbon beats Patterson marks the boxer Sonny Liston's 1962 victory, Pope Paul takes the Vatican helm in 1963, Malcolm X rises as a civil rights firebrand, British politician sex hints at the Profumo scandal, and JFK blown away mourns Kennedy's 1963 assassination. So, all those things, play into
Absolutely.
it. And it was kind of interesting because he mentioned
Marilyn Monroe.
Yeah, because she was in the 50s. But also,
Marilyn Monroe, yeah.
he talks about other boxers in here, and Marciano and stuff.
Rocky.
And, during that time period, that era, like boxing was, the heavyweight champion was like usually one of the most famous and wealthiest people in the world. So you have all that. And, obviously when it comes down to the JFK, which I'm not going to delve into, but that had such a big impact on that whole generation. You kind of see like as a pivotal moment, where things kind of, were triggered anyway, to where they were, beforehand, was almost still, when we didn't live through it, but almost still more 50s-esque with the way things were.
Yeah.
In that moment.
It was their 9/11.
Yeah.
And,
But it's just that one person.
Right, but it was the president.
Yeah.
And, everyone who's alive, just like 9/11, you they remember where they were when it happened, what class they were in, when they were in school, and the events that transpired after that, seeing Oswald being shot on live television,
right.
Well,
it changed the way people thought about their government.
There you go.
Can we trust them? And that played an impact on everything else that transpired after that.
Footage from the Vietnam War is now in the living rooms. Violence, and then some of that's being reflected in the cinema, on cinema screens, different things. Psycho, you're talking about, Night of the Living Dead, things that are more graphic. I think that there's connections there. I mean, a very turbulent time, but then we put the first men on the moon.
That's what they say.
The end of the century. We're in the decade.
End of the decade. So you're right, turbulence and triumph. I think just frameworking it from an apologetics point, I think it's the most. They don't call it the boomers for a reason, and I think it's even more so. It's a big boom that reverberates through every generation from that point.
Right.
We're living in a country now that's
been shaped by
that. A lot.
Right.
There's so many things that happen.
Right.
Oh, it's it changes the culture of our country dramatically.
Very much so. And you mentioned like the mysticism, the Eastern religions that people started following, and
what would become New Age.
All that sort of stuff. But then, just like we talked about with the Enlightenment, where you had that revival that took place, you have the Jesus movement that starts in the end of in the end of the 60s. And it's a lot of the people who, quickly become disillusioned with, the free love and the hippie movement. And they're going out, and I think it started in California, and I wish I had got the guy's name. There was one minister who was really big in it. I know they had that movie, and I don't know if the movie was about that guy or not.
It was.
Yeah.
Lonnie Frisbee.
Frisbee.
Yeah, that was it. And I listened to a couple, some of his messages and stuff, and it was pretty good stuff.
Yeah.
And I don't know anything about where that,
I know he had some issues, but I think in the end he came back to Christ. But I know he had some troubles, some struggles.
Yeah, that happens. But and then there was Christian music that came out of it that was much different than what was before, where it was just all hymns. And I listened to a guy, and I can't remember his name. Today I listened to some of his songs, and actually one of the songs that he did, I remember us singing in church.
Oh, okay.
And it was a very Rapture-esque kind of song.
Oh.
I wish we'd all been ready, and talks about guns and war, and that kind of revelation kind of stuff.
Wow.
It was a very heavy song, but
Bob Dylan was part of the Jesus movement.
Yeah, he was,
and he wrote some.
Yeah, what was the song that we didn't realize he had? And we've sung it in church. We didn't realize it was a Dylan song, but it was. Yeah, it's really good.
Well, it's Christian, a slow train coming.
Yeah. I can't remember what that song was that I was.
But I reached out to my mom, who obviously, a baby boomer herself, and I asked her what she remembered of, the Jesus movement. And she said that to me, it was like Jesus was let out of the closet. It also seemed like the in thing to do for some. I think a lot of people were really sincere. It was the pendulum swinging the other way from the free love movement.
Yeah.
The kids actually went to the source of real love.
Nice.
That's awesome.
That's great. That is awesome.
But, and just like we've talked about with recent times, things have, gotten really far, out, and things are swinging back. There's that pendulum always seems to be swinging.
Yeah.
My parent, I talked to my parents. We talked at dinner too, and I talked to them about my dad was in Vietnam. He married my mom before he left, and I was born. And he, I think my parents weren't into the protest part of it. They realized people were protesting. Dad was on the side, well, they're expressing their rights. He was like, I wish they wouldn't do violence, but if they're getting arrested, then that's what happens for rioting and causing things. But that's what his take on it. But, the other thing I know they went through even, and I know this may sound slight, but they were both believers prior to the 60s. My grandmother was, very much a Christian on mom's side, and dad was too. But I think the Jesus Christ Superstar, Andrew Lloyd Webber's thing, makes this impact culturally, and the music starts being played, and I think that they went to that play or a couple times and loved it, and that for them it was kind of like the Jesus movement, it in miniature. It kind of a voice coming back again, that splashes into the culture for a bit. where you've got all this stuff because, of course, Woodstock and all the things that are going on. Yeah. Some of the bad things that are going on in music that happen, like the Altamont stuff, and the Hell's Angels are beating up people, and so there's just a very tumultuous disillusionment, but it's so awesome. We could end it with the Jesus movement. That's awesome.
Good stuff.
Yep.
Well, we've got on the other side of this, we've got some more March music madness.
So we'll be back with that in just a minute.
As promised, we're back with more March musical madness.
It's still not musical.
March
musical
madness.
Implies that it's musicals.
Yeah,
madness with music.
With music.
Musical madness. Just music.
March music.
We don't need the cool on the end.
The cool.
And we have our special guest, my lovely wife Kim.
You said that twice.
Hey,
she's so special. We said it twice. You know what? I'll say one more time. Back with our special guest.
Just let me say this. 38 years tomorrow was the first time I met this lovely lady.
Oh
boy.
That's nice.
Wow.
Stole my heart that first night.
I was 12.
What? Wait.
Not true.
Not true. Not true.
Anyway.
We were 12.
No,
it's not.
that time frame's still weird.
It's off. It doesn't matter how old we are.
Also,
Were.
creepy. Also,
Were.
these statements aren't getting better. Let's get away from this as fast as we can.
Yeah, probably.
All right.
Cut.
Roll this up.
Let's restart.
Cut, restart.
Sorry, start it over. Count us in.
Well, we're going to start with the 2001 to 2015
All right.
bracket.
Okay.
And if you didn't watch last time, you need to go back and watch that one so you're all caught up.
Yeah.
We're going with the it'll be 1 and 8 matchup. We have Happy, who beat out by Pharrell Williams, who beat out Bad Day by
that's you got
somebody
That we used to know.
somebody who had a Bad Day. And Boom Boom Pow, who knocked off TikTok. So this is our first matchup of the night.
So it's Happy and
Boom Boom Pow.
Well, I could go with Happy because I have no idea what Boom Boom Pow means. Is that some sort of comic book thing?
I listened to some of these that I hadn't heard before.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Happy's way better than Boom Boom Pow.
Happy is way better than Boom Boom Pow.
Okay.
Pharrell Williams is a legit
What do you think?
producer and musical performer. Boom Boom Pow is.
But Boom Boom Pow was better than TikTok. I will give you that.
Could have been called Poo Poo Pow.
So Happy moves on to the first team in the Sweet 16.
Okay.
Now we have Hey Ya, who knocked off Lifehouse's Hanging On by a Moment.
Hanging by a moment.
Hanging by a Moment.
Hanging on by a moment might be a different connotation to a song.
different.
Hanging on by a moment is like a near-death experience.
Who's taking on somebody that I used to know, who took down In the Club.
Oh my!
I wish you just would have skipped it.
So we got a 5 and 4 matchup.
So it's Hey Ya
Hey Ya,
and somebody that I used to know.
It's just tough because they're two different genres.
They are, and I like both songs.
I only know Hey Ya, so that's my vote.
And I only like Hey Ya of these two songs, so that's my vote.
Okay.
You don't like somebody that I used to know?
I don't like them.
It's him.
It's a guy. It's
It's a guy that doesn't know what he used to know.
He doesn't even know what the song is.
I don't really like that song that much.
really.
I
like it.
think it's a good song.
All right.
I don't even know.
That's a tough one for me.
Yeah.
I feel like I'd have to flip a coin or something. I don't know.
I'm out of.
I think I'll just go Hey Ya. I think it's easy. I mean, I like somebody that I used to know.
I do too, but I think I'm gonna have to go with Hey Ya too, just because it's a fun song.
Yeah. What would
Si,
you?
what would you have gone with?
What would you have gone?
Well,
We were right then.
Unanimous.
We were all-
Clean sweep
We
there,
were
ran
right.
away with
We
it.
were all right.
We have the 3 seed, Adele's "Rolling in the Deep," who knocked off "Irreplaceable."
You must not know about me.
Must not. Taking on number 6, Thrift Shop,
Ugh. I should have
who
never
took
made it
down
through.
"How You Remind Me."
Again,
What is it?
I'll go with "Rolling in the Deep" because I do not know the other one.
Such conviction. You said it as if you're actually saying something. But all you're saying is, I don't know that other song.
I'm not really saying anything at all.
I will go with "Rollin' in the Deep" because I think Thrift Shop is a garbage song. Sung by a garbage person.
Oh,
There you
wow.
have it.
What do you think, Kim? What do you think
I
of
do
them?
like that song though. I'm not gonna lie, but I'm gonna have to go with "Rolling in the Deep." I am
It's a sweep. I'm
a
taking
big
"Rolling in the
Adele
Deep."
fan anyway.
Oh,
so.
okay.
What would
Rolling
you be
in the Deep.
weighing in with?
Obviously, Rolling in the Deep.
All right.
Obviously. He's a big Adele fan. He's never not picked Adele.
He's never.
She has a lovely voice.
He's never not picked
In
Adele.
my formative years.
He was.
My formative
My
years.
old age of like 6.
You were formed to Adele? I don't think that's true. Can you guys confirm?
Moving on 12 years. We gotta stay away.
We have the 7 versus 2 matchup
Okay.
with "Yeah."
Okay.
The 7
With yeah.
and the number 2, "Uptown Funk."
So weird.
Uptown Funk.
Yep.
Well, I'll go
I was
with.
hoping you were gonna say who sang it because
Oh, okay.
that's what I was shooting for.
Oh, sure. Little John.
Again,
Ludacris.
Ludicrous.
Yeah.
Lil,
and Uptown
Lil.
Funk.
Again, I say for the record, Uptown Funk. I don't know the other one.
You know what's good is
It's making it easy for you.
in the Sweet 16, you're gonna know all 4
Well, that's
songs.
true. I'll know
Well,
all of them.
possibly. Depends on if "Yeah" wins.
That's true.
Yeah.
You're going with "Yeah"?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
What's the
Uptown
choices?
Funk.
Yeah.
And "Yeah."
It's going to happen.
What are you doing?
It's hard because I like both these songs.
That's part of it. You got this. Make the right choice.
Caleb's trying to make me go for his choice.
No, I just want you to pick.
I'm gonna have to go. Yeah.
Well, with Scott, I'm going for "Uptown Funk."
You basic. Silas, what do you
Yeah.
got? Yeah!
I was wrong, Scott. There'll be one
There'll be
song
one
you
I
don't
don't
know.
know. Okay.
Your job is to listen to.
Listen!
So you can really know
done that
if you
earlier.
I mean, that's
if you
I'm
like
gonna
it
be
or not.
honest.
a
I
10
don't-
seed knocking off a 2.
I don't think.
I don't think you're gonna like
Yeah,
it.
I'm getting ready to
You will be
say.
picked.
I think Scott listening to "Yeah" is not going to help it.
Kevin said no.
I don't think you'll like
No,
it.
because I
But
went and
it's-
listened to the
it's-
ones
I
I
like
didn't
it.
know.
Is it that hip hop?
Going back in time, 86 to
Okay.
2000. We have,
What a gap.
That's a
let's start at the bottom this time.
Yeah, that's.
We have number 7, "Walk Like an Egyptian" by the Bangles, who beat out "The Sign" by Ace of Base.
Saw that.
Yeah.
She likes
Taking on the number 2 seed, "I Will Always Love You," Whitney Houston
Ugh.
doing the Dolly Parton song.
I'm going to walk like an Egyptian.
All right.
Right off. I'm good. I my therapist says I'm fine.
You barely finished the you, and he's like, yeah, that's not the one I want. I would prefer anything else other than that. What else you got? What do you got, Mom?
What do you got? He's like, what do you got? Mom?
What was the other option again?
Ooh, that's a tough one too. I'm gonna say "Walk Like an Egyptian."
Caleb?
Well, there is no good choice.
Wow.
Kids.
Well, there is no good choice.
Because this isn't "Walk Like an Egyptian" is not a good song ever. For any it's not a good song. It's just it's pop.
Have you seen the video?
It's pop for the sake of pop, Mom.
Have you seen the video?
I'm familiar with the video.
Oh, I'm surprised you don't pick it just because of that.
Don't patronize me.
Don't. I love it. Don't patronize.
And I Will Love You is not one of Whitney's better songs. I Will Always Love You. She just did it for the movie, man.
But it's a lovely song.
It is a lovely song. And because I think the other song is hot garbage, I will pick I Will Always Love You by Whitney Houston.
Well,
At least he reasoned it out.
I'm going with "Walk Like an Egyptian."
You would.
And what about you?
I would be going with Law.
Oh, okay.
Wow.
All right.
It's good to see this committee has zero integrity.
You're the only one that has it.
I'm the only one with integrity.
So we have Faith, the number 6 song, who knocked off "Candle in the Wind," 1997.
What a weird
Elton
matchup.
John.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, they did a duet.
Candle in the Wind.
They did do a duet, though.
Yeah.
That's right.
Good point, Kev.
Don't let the
Don't let the sun go down on me.
That was George Michael.
Yeah.
Yeah. Elton had done it long before, and then
Yeah.
George Michael did a duet with him.
They said, I guess it would be nice.
No, let's not go there. Taking on the number 14 seed that knocked off the 3, Gangsta's Paradise. The number 14 seed is "Everything I Do It For You."
Oh.
And what's the other
by
song?
Brian Adams. Taking on
Faith.
Oh, it's gotta be Faith.
Gotta go Faith on that one.
Gotta have faith.
Faith.
Faith. Faith.
That's one of the worst Brian Adams songs he ever did.
Which is
Si,
Not
what would
saying
you
much.
have taken?
Gotta have faith.
yeah.
Faith. All right. Moving
Just
up.
listen to the other one before this podcast and he didn't like it.
If I'm ever picking a Brian Adams song over another song, it's not me.
I think the only time you'd pick a Brian Adams song over the other song is if the other song was also a Brian Adams song.
I would disagree.
I like early Adams. I don't have a
Yeah.
problem with them.
I prefer no
The
Brian
next-
Adams.
I prefer no Adams.
The next matchup, we have 2 teams that knocked off higher seeds in the first round. We have "Hold On" by Wilson Phillips, who was the 12 seed, knocked off "Believe" by Cher, who was the 5 seed.
Oh, yeah.
I think I was alone in picking Believe on that, if I remember
The
correctly.
emergence
so.
of auto-tune.
And they're taking on the song that knocked off number 4, Macarena, with "That's What Friends Are For" with Dionne Warwick.
What's the other
and
choice
Friends.
again? Why do I always not remember?
Hold On.
It's got to be "Hold On" because "That's What Friends Are For" was not a great song.
It does whatever goes in this
tough
for
one
this
for
is
me.
what's going to lose the next round. This is a Cinderella story.
This is a Cinderella
This is two Cinderellas
story.
playing each other.
There's just this is Cinderella's story.
They're not going to make it
I
past
mean,
these
there
guys.
are a lot of voices in the
I feel like
"That
this
What
is
Friends Are
the
For"
Yeah.
song.
And all
But I
gone
think-
to waste.
But I think you can argue that more voices doesn't always make a better song, and I think there's a lot of track record.
Well, I went
this.
for "Hold On." That's not the song, so
I'm just saying. I will also pick Hold On.
I'm going with "Hold On" as well. What did you take, Scott?
I don't.
He abstains.
I abstain. Hold on, and the other one too.
Si, you just heard these songs for the first time this evening. What would you take?
I don't care for either, but I'd probably go "Hold On."
Okay, I think we're all in it.
That's tough.
And we've got the number 1 I Want to Dance with Somebody, who took down the 16 Look Away by Chicago.
Ugh.
Because that
I
should
can't
not
believe
have been
that
on there.
Was ever a song of the year.
Yeah, I can't believe Chicago's even on the
This
list.
takes on the 8
At Chicago. Ooh.
Into the Road by Boyz II
Boyz II Men.
who knocked off Scott's probably favorite song on the list, Breathe by Faith Hill. So he voted for it.
It's probably my favorite woman on the list.
Oh. All right. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
She was attractive, yeah.
I'm gonna dance with somebody. Also, I picked
I want
that
to dance
song.
with somebody in...
What was the other one?
What's the other song?
Into the Road by Boyz II Men.
Well, I'm going to have to go... I mean, I have a whole new respect for Boyz II Men, but I'm going to have to go with I Want to Dance with Somebody because the other song is just really sad.
Don't you want to dance?
And this
you
one's
wanna dance.
peppy.
Okay.
That's my...
With me,
Follow me here. Write and vote.
This is still not a democracy.
Oh, it's a republic. Okay, I'm one of the states. I still get something. Flight of Icarus, Iron Maiden, Holy Diver, Dio. I'm going Flight of Icarus.
And the number 1 seed, I Want to Dance with Somebody, moves on.
Oh, so sorry,
yeah.
Scott.
It's almost like Scott's nonsense didn't count.
If I just fought hard.
Yes. you didn't put up enough.
I know I didn't have any receipts.
Yes. No receipts.
No receipts.
Not enough receipts.
It takes us up to 1970 to 1985.
Okay.
We're back to
Oh,
Yeah,
back.
true.
Yeah.
Time works weird for you.
It does.
Time works for you.
You just think we're constantly digging down.
It very much does. Number 5. We're going to start in the middle here. We got number 5.
Insane.
I know it.
You're gonna confuse yourself.
Your shelf.
You're gonna confuse yourself.
I'm writing them in, so we'll be good.
Oh, okay.
Every Breath You Take by the Police.
That's me.
Taking on, but wait, they're taking on the 12 seed.
There's more.
No, they're taking on the number 4 seed, My Sharona by the Knack.
Oh.
My Sharona.
They knocked off Tie a Yellow Ribbon last week.
Oh, well, they should have.
I disagree.
Tie a yellow ribbon. That hack. I mean.
Oh wow. My Sharona.
Kills.
Poor
We got one of each. Kimberly, what are you
Dawn.
And
taking?
no, I was just joking.
I'm gonna go with My Sharona.
Ooh. I think I'm going to go with Every Breath You Take.
I'm going with Every Breath.
I see what's,
love both songs.
happening. I see what's happening.
Silas, you would have gone with Every Breath You Take?
He's got
has
to.
Why?
Well, he doesn't have to, but he is going, and that's
He's
what
got
he
to
picked.
because it's a tie.
It's a
But,
tie.
well, I'm just asking
She's
him for his
asking him
opinion,
why.
not as a...
Oh,
He's
Because his reaction led me to believe that's what he was thinking.
all right.
Why not My Sharona?
Every Breath You Take.
I'm a big Police guy.
broken. Ugh.
Oh,
And you should be.
I'm more
Don't
CIA.
defund the police. Caleb, yeah. Bastard. It sounded like that's what was going through his head. Police.
I do not like the Police.
I do like My Sharona, though.
Yeah, it's better.
I do. That's better.
We have the
but that's the only reason I
14
like it.
seed taking on the 6 seed, Silly Love Songs, who knocked off Call Me by Blondie.
I'm not sure about that. For me.
For me, for you.
And going up against Betty Davis Eyes,
Ooh.
Oh.
who knocked off The Way We Were.
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Betty Davis Eyes.
Silly Love Songs.
Betty
and
Davis Eyes.
Davis Eyes.
Betty Davis Eyes for me.
Yeah, easy. Easy peasy.
I like
lemon
Betty Davis
squeezy.
Eyes as well.
She's got Betty Davis Eyes.
Well,
Silas is
Betty
not
Davis
agreeing on
Eyes
this.
is going to move on. I'm going to vote for Silly Love Songs
Okay.
just because I feel like Silly Love Songs should not be shut out.
Oh, okay.
Silas would have gone for Silly Love Songs as well.
Silas, he's really reacting as if.
Silas has always been a fan of Silly Love Songs.
Oh, okay. It's not my favorite Paul McCartney song or Wings or.
Yeah.
I like it, but it's not my favorite.
I like it too. Yeah. I do like it.
I'm not saying I don't like it.
Yeah.
I'll say it. It's mid.
It's mid. It's mid.
Next matchup.
You just think anything Paul McCartney does is gold.
No.
Yeah, you do. Let the record show.
We have the 10 seed who upset minor upset of Joy to the World 7 seed, which is Prince's When Doves Cry.
Oh, yeah.
And they'll be taking on number 2 seed, who easily trumped Physical by Olivia Newton-John.
Oh, gosh.
Bridge Over Troubled Water.
So When Doves Cry is going through.
When Doves Cry and Bridge Over Troubled Water.
When Doves Cry.
Yeah, it's Prince. You can't do that to Prince.
I'm not going against Prince.
No.
I'm with
Even with a great song like Bridge Over
beautiful song.
Absolutely awesome.
But
I can't.
I mean,
But it's Prince.
Yeah.
For this crowd.
You said it.
Cy, what would you have gone with?
Yeah, you're right.
I love the
would still pick
Simon and Garfunkel.
Yeah, it's a great
awesome.
song. Great song.
Yeah.
And Paul Simon's awesome, but gotta go with Prince.
Gotta go with Prince.
And that takes us up to the number 1 seed, Careless Whisper, who easily took down Shadow Dancing by Andy Gibb.
Oh, yeah.
Tough call.
Going against the 8 seed, who this and for my money was the most controversial pick of the whole week.
Oh.
Love Will Keep Us Together.
I'm waiting for your...
By the Captain and Tennille, who took down First Time Ever I Saw Your Face.
I know.
By Roberta Flack.
You like the Flack.
I love that song.
No flack.
Beautiful song.
So Careless Whisper.
Careless Whisper
Or
Love Will Keep Us Together.
Careless Whisper.
I'm gonna have to go Caroline. This is where the captain goes
Yeah.
down with the
What do you got?
Yeah.
You tell me.
I'm going with
It was
Careless.
Muskrat Love.
Love Will Keep Us
I'd go
Together.
with that
Shouldn't
one.
even
Yeah.
have been.
Just to prove a point, I will pick Love Will Keep Us Together.
You're free to do that.
Just because I think it should have beat that song any day of the week.
Oh, okay.
Not Careless Whisper. The First Time Ever I Saw Your Face.
Yeah.
I just want to drive
You're
that point
free to
home.
do that.
I just want to
Everyone
Caleb's always
everyone has the right to be right.
driving in the spike floor.
Yeah. I want to. I'm playing a different game.
And
We got
we're
her
back to the 60s, 55 to 69.
to the birth of rock and roll here.
Back when it all started.
You might want to get it. She's yawning.
Pick up the pace. If you want to, if you haven't seen our last episode, you need to go back and watch it. Episode 19,
Riveting.
as Kim progressively gets
More done with it.
I ended up sick.
Oh.
I was sick
Of this show.
and had a 24-hour bug
Oh.
after that. I went in and got sick
Oh,
and
you
went to
were?
bed
Oh.
and so
You
I was
did, that's right.
Yes.
Because Kev came in and said you
Actually, she ended up going to urgent care. They diagnosed her with the what you're gonna want to do flu.
nice. Hey, love.
all right.
Well, I'm glad you're better, Kev.
Thank you.
Whoa.
I hope this doesn't make you sick.
Right? I'm not feeling so well. got a crick in the neck. Not a creek, a crick.
The crick.
Not a creep. For our VMS listeners.
We're going to start off with a couple of heavy hitters right in the middle here. The 5 seed and the 4 seed. She Loves You
Yeah.
by the Beatles, who took down Surfing USA by the Beach Boys.
Tough call.
Taking on
Me.
Hound Dog by the king of rock and roll, Elvis Presley, who pretty easily defeated I Can't Stop Loving You.
Yeah.
So it's Hound Dog and
She Loves You.
She Loves You.
Obvious.
Yeah,
She Loves You.
I'm going with She Loves You.
I would also pick any other Beatles song ever.
Oh,
I'm going with She Loves You as well. Scott, so sorry.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry too. Is Elvis represented elsewhere there? Anywhere
Thankfully,
in the
I don't think he is.
No.
Hound Dog? Just for the shout
Keep
out.
him in there.
Yeah.
No, well, it doesn't keep him in because he's not going to.
She loves,
But
she
He's
loves
lost.
you, moves on, because that's what I'm going with.
Okay.
We have
He died on the proverbial
the song that started it all, number 3, Rock Around the Clock.
Ugh.
Bill Haley in the comments, who took down, Caleb was really upset about this one. He felt like the officials may have been bribed or something.
Officials may have been
Tequila.
Overrated.
Going up against the 11th seed, who knocked off 6, All Shook Up by Elvis.
Oh, I thought he was in there one other time.
Yeah, but he was knocked off by California Dreamin'.
Such a good
by the
song.
Mamas and the Papas.
so what's the two choices? Because once you start saying all this other stuff,
You hear nothing
I get
else.
right.
You
I
don't
get
even know.
confused.
Rock Around the Clock, Bill Haley in the comments.
Yeah.
Going up against
California Dreamin'.
Mamas and the Papas.
That's my
Caleb's
vote.
California Dream.
California Dream, I've said it before, it's one of my favorite songs.
California Dreamin'.
I love it.
Is taking this one.
Yeah.
Landslide.
down.
That's
It
and the
might
fans
be
were chanting.
It might be the
It was.
winner.
It was. In, they blew out. They blew out Rock Around the Clock.
Si, would you have had a pick on that one? All right.
Yeah, it's because that song's garbage. Rock Around the Clock is trash. It's a trash song for trash people.
We have
People.
the number 2 seed,
A little vicious.
who I think this one went into overtime.
Oh.
They took on the Box Tops with The Letter.
Oh, yeah, I like the letter.
The Beatles, I Want to Hold Your Hand. Number 2 seed. Going up against Bobby Darin, Mac the Knife, who took down Sugar Sugar.
Okay,
the
so
Archies.
It's Mac the Knife
you
versus
got-
I Want to Hold Your Hand. Not only am I playing a different game, but Mom doesn't even know what game we're playing. So who is
man.
it?
This is really hard.
Mac the Knife.
This is
really,
a tough
really
I
match.
Want to
hard.
Hold Your Hand.
That's
Well,
a tough one.
I usually wait. I'm going to weigh in first.
Okay.
And
As
this
to
is
sway.
tough.
As to sway.
No, I'm not
You
trying
hear
to
it
sway.
now. He's trying to sway.
I'm not
He's
trying
throwing
to
his
sway.
weight around, Scott.
It's a tough one.
I love the
think it's
Beatles,
tough.
but I'm going with Mac the Knife.
Okay.
Love that song.
I'm going to do it. Mac the Knife. Yeah.
I'm leaning towards Mac myself.
Oh, no!
It'd be a big upset. Well, it is a big upset.
Yeah, and I'm having trouble, but I'm looking ahead to the next round.
Okay.
And I'm thinking, for me personally,
Doesn't matter.
it could have been any other song.
Oh,
and I don't know that it's gonna matter. It could have been any of these 4.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Yeah, he's
So I'll let you pick, because for me, I don't.
he's
care.
not worried
We're
about it.
going with Mac.
Silas,
Max there, and
What would you have picked?
the Beatles.
he'd pick every Beatles. He'd pick every Beatles song. He'd even pick that new one where it's just old recordings.
I am a mid to later fan of the Beatles more than I am the early stuff.
There's songs from every part that I like a little bit of.
Do you?
Yeah.
I mean,
like
I
them
wouldn't
all.
say I don't like it. I think I like the more
just prefer-
sophisticated stuff more than I do the other
I
stuff.
might like the early and then the very late. I like it all, but
He would like the early.
I do like I like almost the Everly Brothers kind of sound.
Oh yeah, they do have a lot of everything.
a
Yeah,
lot of beautiful love songs.
yeah.
I just like.
But you hate the silly ones.
Hey, what?
Those silly
Silly
ones.
songs.
I do like the still. I voted for it.
He voted for it.
I did not.
Caleb does not.
Caleb and Scott, they don't like the silly love
I
songs.
don't like those silly love songs.
All
No, I
right.
still liked it. I just said it wasn't.
I just don't want to fill the world
Our
with it.
final matchup of the night.
Oh.
Final team to be joined in the Sweet 16. We have Tossin' and Turnin',
A mediocre song at best,
who took down Theme to a Summer Place.
Ooh,
which had to
Beautiful,
happen.
beautiful song.
it's a pretty song.
Beautiful song. Taking on the top seed in this bracket.
Oh, wow.
Hey Jude.
Hey
by the
Jude.
Beatles,
Hey Jude.
Oh, it's-
who
Hey Jude.
easily
Hey
knocked
Jude.
off Wooly Bully.
Oh, yeah.
Hey,
Oh,
Jude.
yeah. Yeah.
Sam.
Wooly Bully gave him trouble in the first half, though. Yeah, Hey Jude was down at the half.
There was just too much depth.
Too much depth to Hey Jude.
Too much depth.
But I'll tell you what, Wooly Bully starting
That
five
was
gave him
great.
a fit.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's got to be Hey Jude.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah. I already see where this side of the bracket's
wow.
going down to.
Yeah.
There's
I'm almost glad that this one was the winner here.
yeah, because it's getting Beatles heavy.
Hey Jude.
Yeah.
Hey Jude. Hey Jude.
Yeah.
Sigh.
Yes.
Hey Jude. So to recap really quick,
Okay.
Sweet 16, and we'll next time
It was so
Next
much
time.
quicker.
we will take on.
Me.
We'll start with it in the Sweet 16,
On, Caleb.
I already have a prediction.
but
Why wasn't that one? And that didn't make number
I
one.
know, right?
Come on. What is this?
I could have come up with better songs.
I
This is
think
the last segment.
Yeah, I would.
Yeah,
agree.
I got you. I got you.
got me.
No, you got it. I got you.
No, I
we got
I
each
got
other.
it.
Scott has
I'm
Scott.
just
Mom
saying.
has mom.
Wait, do I get to do
saying.
this?
No.
I'm just saying, let me get to.
Okay.
Hey Jude will take on She Loves You.
Oh.
And don't vote yet. Don't tip your hand
okay.
yet.
I'm going to. I'm telling.
I tipped it.
California Dreamin' will be taking on Mac the Knife.
Oh,
Okay,
okay.
I've already tipped my hand for that one.
In the 2001 to
My hand.
2015, Happy will go up against Hey Ya.
Okay.
That's a tough matchup.
Rolling in the Deep. Yeah.
You don't know how to read the name of that song. It is.
Yeah.
The
How you
puddle.
supposed
do
to
it
say
for
it?
me?
You
Yeah.
do it.
Yeah.
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 There we go.
That's how it is.
This bracket has two exclamation mark songs.
Has what?
I can't say it again.
I'd love to hear. I'd love to hear it the first time. I'm pretty sure you didn't say it.
86 to 2000, we have I Want to Dance with Somebody, one up against Hold On, and Faith taking on Walk Like an Egyptian.
Wow, that's good. It feels like some blowouts.
And from 70 to 85, we have Careless Whisper taking on Every Breath You Take.
Oh, that's good. Please.
Hey, you're tipping your hand, man.
And Betty
retract
Davis
that.
Eyes taking on When Doves Cry.
Oh.
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 Ooh, this is what it sounds like. Did I already do that one? Yep. And that's it. That's all four.
Boy, I just realized what you did.
But-
I wish you didn't.
I have this. A Salvation Army band played, and the children drank lemonade, and the morning lasted all day. All day. And through an open window came, like Sinatra in a younger day, pushing the town away. They sat on the stony ground, and he took a cigarette out, and everyone else came down to listen. He said in winter 1963, it felt like the world would freeze with John F. Kennedy and the Beatles. Yeah. And all the world shut down. The evening turned to rain. Watched the water roll down the drain as we followed him down to the station. And though he never would have waved goodbye, we could see it written in his eyes as the train rolled out of sight. Bye-bye.
Bye.
The Whatchagonnawannado podcast is brought to you by Scott Dog Productions and is made possible by viewers like you.